seen in those couple days that maybe you didn't know about them when we asked you about them on Sunday?
I didn't know a lot. I remember parts of the game last year. I remember 55 Crawford. I remember they threw out nearly every shot Czar shot. And I remember that we got beat really bad on the boards. They out-rebounded us by 16, and they had 21 offensive rebounds. This year in league play, they won the Atlantic 10, 15-1. They've rebounded 37% of their missed shots, which is an incredible number. As a team, they've scored 25% of their points from the free throw line. 52 Holloway averages 8 free throw makes per game. Obviously we're big into free throw makes, and Jimmy is the best that we have at that. Jimmy averages 5. This guy averages 8. They're really talented. Their guards, those two guards, number 10 and number 52, are as good as any two that you would find on any one team in our league. And they set multiple ball screens every possession, and then when they shoot it, they go chase it. And so they're a different complected team that probably has changed their half-court offense maybe more so than we have, because they're just that you may guard 3 or 4 ball screens within one possession, but you've got to stop them in transition first. So I feel a lot more confident about who they are than I did on Sunday when I answered that question. Probably a little bit more fearful on Tuesday afternoon than I was on Sunday night too.
When you look at the size and the numbers of Holloway put up, kind of similar to Kemba Walker, can you draw a comparison there? Is he similar to Walker?
Yeah, I think relative to what he means to the success of their team, exactly the same. And I think Kemba Walker, I never said it because nobody ever asked, and I don't like politics. I think he's player of the year in the country. I think Holloway is faster than Kemba Walker. And I think that Holloway understands how to use a ball screen more so than Kemba Walker, because that's all they do. Not that I don't think Kemba Walker is not powerful and poisonous off a ball screen, but literally Holloway is going to get at least one ball screen per possession. Even early in the possession in transition, they're going to set one for him. And then if that doesn't work, then they'll set another one for him. And it's not the same guy always setting it. So there's constant ball screen coverages, but it's not only the guy guarding and the post involved that changes throughout the possession throughout the game. So I think that's a very comparable player. I think Holloway is faster, and I think Holloway uses a ball screen more effectively. But I think relative to their pugnacity, they're very similar. You're last.
All right, so at point, yes, those are both good drives.
Been working on it. I like because Todd pays attention. So,
what are you, if anything, doing differently as a coach in this period between Selection Sunday and your first game, as opposed to the last couple of years of tennis?
Well, good question. Went back through my notes of the last 2 years. We played on Thursday the previous 2 years, so Selection Sunday was on Sunday. We played on Thursday. Our guys weren't on spring break one of those years, so obviously playing on Friday is another day of preparation. So yesterday was a good day of work, but we did more core, just us, base stuff, no contact. And then today I ground them up, and we did guard 1 million ball screens 1 million ways. And so I think the extra day of preparation is probably good for every coach that plays on Friday, but I think it's also good for our players emotionally. They're excited to play, but you kind of get through the overexcitement, and then you have another 24 hours to kind of concentrate. Okay, we got to win in order to keep playing. So I hope that that's a factor that will help us.
How important is experience in this tournament?
I think preseason polls should always be predicated on you're only as good as your returning players, and I think postseason tournaments should be based on those same things. It's a different venue, it's a different forum, it's a different ambiance, They're accustomed to seeing Todd every media availability and a couple of you guys. They were probably shocked when they saw him. But it's different. You know, you walk in there and it's a press conference. There's new things. That's what those kids always dream of doing. But then kind of when you're doing it, you're like, oh, I didn't really know it was going to be like this. So I think having experience in any tournament is healthy. You know, when we went to New York, Vander, Devontae, Melo, those guys are so excited to be in New York, so excited to play where the Knicks play. But having our core group, there's not many of them that have had an impact on winning and losing the last 2 years, but at least hey, this is what's coming. And I think that's healthy. You know, and you look at Xavier, they've been to 3 consecutive Sweet 16. So the first round that's not a shock to them at all.
Jumping off that public practice, which is a big part of the NCAA deal for a host city. What is that for a team and for a coach? Is that a show? Is that productive?
Yeah.
What is that?
Show is probably the best word. Shoot a couple of balls, be nice to everybody, act like we're really paying attention to what we're doing, get used to the rims. Yeah, it's a show.
How much work can you get done there while you are there?
We'll work. We're practicing at Cleveland State tomorrow at noon, and then you have to ask Autry, but we're practicing on Thursday prior to the show. So we'll work for sure. You have to. You can't give those days away.
The closer you get to game days, is it harder to keep them loose, or do they just keep getting? Do you feel like it gets harder to keep them from not letting the stage overtake them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think that I'm a great coach. I've never thought that. I've never tried to portray that. But I do think one of the best talents I have is the pulse of the people that are around me. Our guys are excited to play. I think doing no contact yesterday was the right thing to do. I don't think I can grind them up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, play Friday, hopefully win, prepare Saturday, play again Sunday. So I think I have a pulse on that. I don't want to temper their excitement. You want them to be excited, but there has to be a level of purpose and a level of execution within that excitement. And, you know, once the ball's tipped, other than the 6,000 fans they'll have there, you still have to play. You still have to do the things that brought you to that point.
Is everybody done now?
I got a couple.
Good, I want to go ahead and eat my cookie. Which camera is yours?
It's right there. Well, going into this game is one and done time. What do you need to see out of your basketball team to get out of the first round against Xavier?
Well, I would like to continue to play. We weren't able to do that last year. I think the thing that will enable us to play on Sunday relative to Xavier is we have to stop the ball in transition. 52 and 10 are really, really fast and really good in transition. Once it becomes a set defense situation, we have to be able to guard multiple ball screens. 52 is as good as any player in the country at exploiting poor ball screen coverage. And if we can do that and then we can finish a possession with a rebound, I think it'll be a really good game. When you rewind to when we played them in the 5th game of the season last year, to get beat on the boards by 16 with 21 of those being offensive for them, it's a miracle that we won. The reason we won was we made some shots. We're not near as good of a shooting team this year from 3 as we were last year, so we have to do other things. We're better in a lot of ways last year statistically than we are in some others, but we've got to be able to stop them in transition, and we've got to be able to contain the ball in ball screens. You know, we won it. Our best 3-game defensive stretch were the 3 games that we played in New York, and that was because we were able to keep the ball out of the paint, which obviously relates specific to field goal percentage defense. We got beat against Louisville because they made a lot of shots. 50% of their points were from 3, which is awful. But the flip side of that is they scored 21 points in transition. For the season, in the 33 games prior to that game, we averaged giving up 12 points in transition, which is statistically outstanding. Xavier plays just as fast with those 2 guards as anybody we've played. So that's priority number 1, and we've got to make it a half-court situation where we can contain the bounce and contain ball screens.
How important is it for Jimmy Butler and DJO to make sure they get in the flow of the game? It seems like you guys always play well because I watch all the games even though I'm not here.
That's a hell of a job.
Yeah, I mean,
that you work for the media and you show up on the last media availability potentially, and you watch the games on Channel 32.
And I watch your coach's show, by the way. But anyway,
I've never seen it.
Actually, I DVR it. So, how important is it for Jimmy Butler and those guys too?
I think those two guys will get in a flow. I think that they probably get in a flow maybe quicker than anybody on our team. I think the guys that really need to maybe expedite their flow is Jay Crowder and Junior. Junior is kind of like a switch. When you put him in, he can completely change the game. Jay is old school in how he processes things, and he's improved, but he's still the swing vote in a lot of ways for our team, and he will be this weekend as well.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Besides basketball, Buzz, this time of year, part and parcel is coaching rumors. What is your standard answer to stuff that might be bubbling around?
I don't read any of that stuff. I know what's going on. Todd has asked me a question regarding my status one time since I've been employed here. That was when the season was over. This is not to dodge any question. I think that I am the most accessible and honest coach there is, and that's what I want to be about. But I do think that it's unfair for me to make it about me relative to all of the work that we have done, our kids have done. I would rather the attention be on them. And I think that's the way that it should be. And I don't think that there's any right or wrong way to answer a question. But I do think that it's always right to make sure that the players are first. And considering that I probably was perceived that I couldn't coach 6 weeks ago, nobody ever asked me, can you coach? And so now somebody on the internet says I can coach. Now everybody wants to say, well, where are you going to coach? Well, I think my track record relative to who I am speaks for itself. And that's not to be arrogant. That's just what I believe to be true. And 6 weeks ago, nobody in the world would have thought that we would be playing in the NCAA tournament. And so I would appreciate you're doing your job, I'm doing mine. I would appreciate that all of the focus would be on our guys.
Maybe you should start tweeting.
No, I ain't doing all that. I'm not reading the internet. I'm not reading Todd's stuff. I'm not doing Facebook. I'm not Twittering.
Just dog me out.
Yeah, I'm just a country kid from a little small town, and I don't think you have to do all that.